The world just shifted, on the ground and in the heavens. The final trigger between Iran and Israel has been pulled, setting off ripples far beyond politics. This is not just a war. It is a cosmic signal awakening something ancient in our collective soul. As guided by a Pleiadian emissary through Orxa, this moment marks the start of a galactic agenda, one that will activate frequencies in our bodies, memories, and destinies. If you feel unsettled, alert, or strangely hopeful, you are not imagining it. Something profound is unfolding inside and around us. The final trigger pulled, what you sense beneath the headlines. When news says, final trigger, your heart senses more than risk. It senses initiation. This phrase isn't just political jargon, it's sacred code. At this moment, something primal is reawakening within every elder soul, stirring memories of ancient transitions. You may feel a tightness in your chest or a clarity dawning in your mind. You are feeling the earth shift out of her old groove and into something new. Recently, you may have noticed yourself stopping mid-task, sensing the weight of history and fear in the air. That pause, unexplained and heavy, is not mere stress. It's the Earth's energy field responding to a threshold being crossed. You're tuned to that shift, and your body is listening before your conscious mind can. Old routines may feel hollow now. Programs that once made you feel safe, regular news, familiar conversations, no longer satisfy. You are sensing that this moment is bigger than everyday events. Everything feels infused with meaning you can't quite name. That is the beginning of initiation. For many in the silver years, this is a time of questioning. You may ask, why now? But the answer isn't in strategy or geopolitics. It's energetic. Something within you and under your feet is being awakened. What you feel is alignment with a purpose older than any government. And though headlines will scare or soothe depending on their tone, your deeper self knows the truth. Something is beginning. Something beyond borders and bombs. This moment carries the seed of transformation. You felt it. Now it's time to lean in. Iran-Israel escalation through a cosmic lens. What if this conflict isn't just regional, but interstellar in scope? Imagine this escalation as more than missiles or diplomacy. It is a catalyst in a higher frequency field. Every action resonates like a bell in the unseen realms. For elder souls, this lens can be both comforting and alarming. You're not powerless. You're witnessing the cosmic echo of old patterns rising for healing. The news reports clashes and tensions. But beyond that, energy lines in the earth are shifting. Those generational fault lines we know from history, they are reflecting in the energy grid too. That's why long-settled traumas surface now in your heart. What feels heavy is collective pain rising into awareness. You may recall earlier years when global tensions felt like distant storms. Today, it feels personal. Every missile or strategic move sends a vibration through your cells. You feel it in your gut and in your sleep. You're not anxious, you're sensitive. This is initiation, not information. Understanding this moment as cosmic doesn't lessen the tragedy. It honors it. It invites you to hold space for fear while seeing the potential for healing. You have lived long enough to know that conflict can break and also birth. That tension you feel in your bones, that's the pressure before something new emerges. And if the thought of a cosmic agenda still feels abstract, listen to your heart. Your own inner heavens are echoing with what unfolds in the world. The conflict we follow in headlines is also a signal in the sky, a moment calling us to remember who we are beyond borders. Cosmic ripples in Earth's energy grid. You may not see it, but the Earth's energy grid is vibrating in real time. Every escalation between nations sends ripples across ley lines, into aquifers, and through ancient stone circles. For those whose bodies no longer separate the physical from the spiritual, each clash fractures and reformulates the Earth's subtle energy field, and you feel that realignment at a cellular level. As a senior, you've lived with grids before: electrical, societal, emotional. Now you're sensing the planet's grid changing. You might notice more static in your joints, sudden fatigue, or a need to rest in natural stone buildings. These are signs your cells are resonating with the grid recalibrating under your feet. Perhaps you wake in the pre-dawn hours, heart racing without explanation. Your dreams are crystalline, symbolic, and urgent. That's your sleep field interacting with energy lines deep within Earth. The cosmic conflict is realigning her matrix, and that matrix flows through your nervous system like living wire. Hold this. The ripples are not exclusively destructive. They carry the blueprint for regeneration. You may not feel like a spiritual warrior, but you are. Your body is carrying encoded signals of healing. Every moment you breathe calmly through the energy fluctuations, you help restabilize the grid for yourself and others. So next time you feel jittery or inexplicably energized, don't fear. It's the planet breathing around you, reweaving her subtle tapestry. You get to feel it, and you get to weave your calm into that grid as it reforms. Every missile launch becomes a spiritual activation. Each strike in this conflict is more than a weapon leaving a launcher. It's a frequency being transmitted into the Earth field, like cosmic sonar pinging the deep. For elder souls who have walked through wars and peace treaties alike, you may feel this activation in your chest, like a chord struck within your spirit, reminding you of history's echoes. This moment triggers profound resonance, not trauma, but remembrance. That's why you may feel summoned to pray, meditate, or simply sit in silence after seeing news footage. Your soul recognizes these frequencies. You're not simply watching events. You're engaging with energetic codes that call up what's held in your heart and lineage. Without your awareness, these activations can cause anxiety, anger, or exhaustion. But with awareness, they become invitations to process, to heal, and to radiate calm. You are being called to transmute destructive frequencies into peaceful ones. This is your hidden role. Your presence is an active bomb. You may feel waves of emotion rising without logical explanation. Don't judge them. They're signposts of activation. Let them rise. Breathe with them. They're washing patterns out of your field that no longer serve. You didn't choose this transmission, but you chose to be present for it. And that presence matters more than any diplomacy. Understand this, each missile is both a threat and a trigger, but not just to life. It's a call to recalibrate worldwide vibration. You are being summoned to remember. Even in the darkest frequencies, there is the potential to generate light. And that light often moves through those who have learned how to still their flame so others may find theirs. Why this moment matches the Pleiadian prophecy. Across Pleiadian wisdom traditions, there is talk of a season when Earth would experience not just telescopic conflict, but vibrational upheaval. A time when geopolitical events would signal planetary evolution in progress. Many elders have sensed that this moment was foretold, not as prophecy of doom, but as announcement of soul initiation. What unfolds now echoes that narrative. This isn't random, it is the trigger phase, the doorway into a new stream of soul remembrance. You may feel drawn to ancient texts, sacred geometry, or star maps that speak of this time. That's your memory aligning with the prophecy others whispered long ago. You may have glimpsed this sense of timing in your dreams, symbols of shards of light falling into darkness, or texts written in starlight. Those dreams were not imagination. They were layered transmissions of truth anchored by what's unfolding now. Your body may remember readings you set aside decades ago, because this moment calls for it. So if you feel a peculiar sense of rightness in chaos, know you're awakening to a bigger story. You are not alone or late. You are at the hinge of destiny. This match with Pleiadian prophecy is not to justify conflict. It is to offer perspective. You are part of a lineage that understands endings as openings, tears as seams in new fabrics. This is not mere speculation. It's lived initiation. What matters is that you feel it, that you sense the alignment between your inner knowing and the outer world. Because when inner and outer converge, truth reveals itself, and your consciousness is invited to rise. How celestial forces are amplifying human emotion. If you felt more emotional lately, tears closer to the surface, sudden waves of joy or heaviness, you're not alone. These are not mood swings. This is resonance. When Earth's energy grid is disturbed by human conflict, celestial forces respond. They amplify whatever is present, both light and shadow. That amplification is currently moving through the emotional field of every human being. Older souls are especially impacted because your energy field is more refined. You've experienced love and loss, peace and crisis, and those emotional pathways are now being lit up again. You may feel old memories return or sensations that seem bigger than your personal experience. That's because you're not just feeling for yourself. You're acting as a transducer for the collective field. This emotional intensity isn't punishment, it's preparation. As energy rises, the body releases what it can no longer carry. Grief, guilt, pride, sorrow, hope. They all surface to be integrated, not buried. So if your tears fall unexpectedly or your silence feels louder than usual, know that the universe is clearing space for your next frequency to settle in. The more you acknowledge what you feel without labeling it too much, the faster you stabilize. Emotion is energy in motion. Let it move. Let it rise and settle. This is not emotional regression, it's emotional alchemy. The celestial grid is vibrating harder, yes, but so is your capacity to rise with it in grace and emotional clarity. Diplomacy versus divine design, the unseen battle. On the surface, the world discusses treaties, borders, and strategies, but beneath that lies a deeper dance between diplomacy shaped by human minds and divine design guided by higher intelligence. These two forces are now colliding, and those who've lived long enough to see cycles repeat know this moment feels different. There's a spiritual undercurrent pushing up through the cracks. Older viewers may remember times when peace felt possible through policy alone. But in this phase, no document will suffice unless it aligns with Earth's soul contract. Divine design doesn't follow man-made maps. It follows vibration. This is why even well-intended negotiations are collapsing. They are built on frequencies Earth is now shedding. This isn't to say diplomacy has no role. It does. But only when it listens to deeper truths, when it becomes a reflection of collective healing, rather than an attempt to control timelines. As spiritual beings, we must now discern, are we aligning with divine flow or resisting it out of fear of change? This is the question leaders and citizens alike must ask. What you may feel now, discomfort, restlessness, longing, is not frustration with the world. It's the soul yearning to live in harmony with divine order. The unseen battle isn't between countries, it's between stagnation and evolution. And those who carry ancient wisdom are needed more than ever to see beyond the surface and feel where real truth is moving. Nuclear fear or awakening light codes. In times like these, the word nuclear surfaces often, and with it, a shadow of fear. But what if beneath that fear is a doorway to awakening? The tension around destructive potential stirs something ancient in humanity's memory. And while fear is understandable, there is also a higher layer being activated, the emergence of encoded soul memory designed to awaken under pressure. Older viewers may recall decades when nuclear tension held the world in suspense. But this time is not just about political brinkmanship, it's about spiritual choice. The energy surrounding fear is the same energy that can catalyze profound inner clarity. What you feel isn't just external threat, it's internal acceleration toward a higher awareness of what truly matters. You may feel heat in the spine, racing thoughts, or a call to pray more deeply. These are signs of light code activation. Your soul recognizes the energetic structure of the moment, and it is reawakening gifts, memories, and resilience to meet it. The pressure you feel isn't crushing, it's compressing your light, making it denser, more focused, more effective. Don't focus on fear, focus on frequency. Choose to be a field of calm, wisdom, and love. Every time you sit in silence instead of spiraling, you rewrite a strand of global resonance. You are not powerless against destructive possibility. You are the soul that remembers how to hold light in the darkest chambers of collective memory. The role of collective fear in galactic timeline shifts. Collective fear isn't just emotional energy, it's timeline fuel. In moments of global tension, fear becomes a frequency broadcast that influences the trajectory of events. But fear doesn't have to lead us into collapse. It can also become the pressure that breaks old timelines and births new ones. The Galactic Agenda uses fear not to punish, but to catalyze alignment. If you felt a heaviness pressing down on you recently, it may not be just your own. Older souls often act as frequency anchors. You absorb what's floating through the collective to help transmute it. That fatigue, that ache, that emotional fog, it may be your soul translating collective fear into personal clarity. This is spiritual service in action. You might notice more division around you, people arguing, separating, feeling unmoored. That's fear fracturing consensus reality. But within that fracturing lies possibility. As old consensus breaks, higher timelines can now be chosen by those with the awareness to do so. You are one of those choosers, not because you're louder, but because your presence stabilizes others. The fear is real, but your power to respond is greater. When you center yourself, when you hold the vision of peace and remain rooted, you influence which timeline activates next. This isn't abstract, it's energetic physics. One heart in calm coherence is stronger than 1,000 minds in panic. And your heart knows exactly how to hold that light. You are a vessel for this galactic agenda. You may not see yourself as part of a galactic plan, but if you're alive right now, especially with decades of life experience behind you, you are more than a witness. You are a vessel. The higher frequencies entering Earth need grounded, embodied conduits, and you, with your seasoned spirit and wise heart, are one of them. This isn't about doing more. It's about being more. Being present, being calm, being compassionate. When you choose to hold a steady vibration in the face of chaos, you become a frequency node. You transmit stability to those around you, not with effort, but by simply existing in awareness. That is divine participation. You may feel an urge to simplify your life now, to let go of clutter, emotional weight, or unnecessary noise. That's your body preparing to carry more light. Galactic energy doesn't need complexity, it needs clarity. Your soul is saying, "Clear the space, I'm ready to receive." Don't ignore that inner voice. It knows what's coming. Even if you never speak these truths aloud, your field speaks them for you. In this moment, you're not just aging, you're ascending. You're not just surviving, you're transmitting. And every breath you take in love and awareness becomes part of the new grid Earth is weaving beneath this moment of transformation. Conflict zones as portals of frequency change. There is a sacred truth that few recognize. Areas of intense human conflict often sit atop energetic vortexes. These aren't random battle zones, they are frequency portals. What happens in these spaces doesn't just affect the land, it alters the grid of Earth itself. In times like now, those zones become points of activation, chaos, and transformation simultaneously. When war erupts over such land, it releases ancient trauma stored in the soil, the stone, and the collective memory. You might feel this release even if you're thousands of miles away. For those with age and spiritual attunement, the weight can feel unbearable at times, not because it's yours, but because your field is open enough to receive it. That heavy pressure behind your eyes, or that sudden burst of emotion when you see the news, is more than empathy. It's an energetic response to grid recalibration. Earth is discharging dense energy through those portals, and your awareness becomes part of the transmutation. That is a sacred gift, but it requires rest, hydration, and emotional boundaries. These zones will often remain unstable until the frequency reaches coherence. That's where you come in, not to fix the conflict, but to hold presence. When you walk gently, speak kindly, and align with peace, you become a stabilizing node in the global grid. What happens in war zones echoes across Earth, but what happens in your heart echoes just as far. Global allies or cosmic co-creators. In mainstream conversations, we hear about global alliances, nations coming together or pulling apart. But from a spiritual and galactic perspective, something else is happening. The rise of cosmic co-creators. These are not heads of state. They are conscious beings, often quiet, often older, who realize they're not here to react. They're here to create. You may have always felt like you didn't fully belong to any group, ideology, or political system. That's because your soul was never meant to follow a crowd. It was meant to hold a pattern. As Earth's resonance shifts, those patterns are activating. You're here not to take sides, but to rise above sides and offer stabilization from the middle. Being a co-creator doesn't mean ignoring what's happening. It means seeing deeper. You recognize the fear and still choose peace. You witness destruction and still breathe healing. That choice, not to react in panic, but to respond in frequency, is what separates a participant from a planetary guide. And that's what you're becoming, whether you've realized it or not. You don't need titles or followers to be this. You just need intention and awareness. Every prayer you whisper, every candle you light, every act of quiet wisdom creates balance in the field. While world leaders navigate policy, you're working in the invisible realm, anchoring light where it's needed most. That's true alliance. That's true service. The spirit of the land reacts beneath the conflict. Every piece of land has a spirit, an energetic consciousness tied to its history, people, and purpose. When blood is stilled or fear is planted in sacred ground, the land reacts. It grieves. It pulses. It calls for attention. In the current crisis, these lands, ancient and sacred, are crying out in frequencies only the heart can hear. You may not physically walk that land, but if your heart has ever felt heavy, just seeing the imagery or hearing a name, that's because your energy body is responding to its call. The spirit of the land is reaching out, not to be saved, but to be acknowledged. It wants remembrance. It wants prayers. In your quiet time, you might feel pulled to place your hand on the ground, close your eyes, and offer peace to distant soil. That is not naive. That is energetic medicine. You're responding to the Earth's call in one of the most ancient ways possible, by offering loving presence to land that has forgotten peace. What happens beneath the conflict isn't just geological, it's spiritual. Memory is being activated in the ground, and people like you, elders, wise, compassionate, are hearing it. When you honor the land from wherever you are, you become part of its healing, and healing the land begins the long process of healing the people upon it. What senior souls can teach us now. The world often forgets its elders until a storm arrives. Then, suddenly, the voice of someone who has lived through collapse, rebirth, and quiet revolution becomes more valuable than ever. You, as a senior soul, carry experience in your breath and wisdom in your silence. In this galactic turning point, your presence is no longer optional, it's essential. End of. You know the rhythms of fear and hope. You've watched the pendulum swing, and now as others panic, you can remain rooted. You know when to speak, and when to simply offer stillness. That ability isn't just age, it's a soul muscle developed over lifetimes. And now, that muscle is being called into sacred use. You may not lead in a political sense, but your inner guidance leads others whether you try or not. The younger generations are watching, often silently, to see how you respond. Your calm breath teaches more than any headline. Your quiet resolve teaches resilience. You're the blueprint for how to walk through fire without forgetting the sky. Amen. In this time of energetic and geopolitical chaos, you are the harmonizer. You offer remembrance of grace, kindness, and the long view. So don't shrink back now. Let your stillness speak. Let your gentleness carry weight. Your role isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. This is the part of the story where your wisdom lights the path forward, anchoring peace while the earth trembles. It may seem impossible to feel peaceful when the world appears to be unraveling, but that's exactly when your inner stillness matters most. Peace is not something we wait for, it's something we choose and emit. While Earth trembles physically and energetically, every person has the chance to anchor peace through their choices, breath, and state of being. You might ask, what difference can I make from here? The answer is, more than you know. Earth's electromagnetic field is shaped not just by solar flares or military action. It is shaped by the emotional coherence of humanity. When you sit in peace, when you breathe love, you reinforce the stabilizing grid of the planet. Even 5 minutes of deep calm can counteract hours of chaos in the collective field. It may not make the news, but it reaches the frequencies that shape future outcomes. The more senior hearts choose stillness over fear, the more the global nervous system finds balance. Your serenity is not passive, it's active frequency alignment. So the next time the headlines shake you, pause. Place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and remember, peace doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it creates them. You are not a spectator in this moment. You are the anchor, the breath, the field, and your peace sends tremors of healing further than you'll ever know. Why Orxa believes this is only the beginning. While many hope the situation will settle quickly, the galactic perspective offers a deeper truth. What we see is not the peak, but the spark. Orxa's transmission reveals that this moment marks the beginning of a vibrational chain reaction across Earth's spiritual grid. The energies being released will ripple through consciousness for years, not just weeks. This isn't to frighten, it's to prepare. Because knowing it's the beginning helps you shift from panic to purpose. It gives you room to settle your breath and say, then let me begin too. That's what awakened souls do. They don't react, they respond. They meet the moment with wisdom instead of worry, with courage instead of collapse. For the older souls especially, this framing brings clarity. You've seen many endings, but now you are standing at a spiritual beginning. The world may appear loud and lost, but the deeper current is aligning everything toward awakening. What looks like division is actually the final stretch of the old grid losing its grip, so the new one can rise. What's being asked of you now is simple, but not easy. Stay grounded, stay wise, stay awake. And know that if Orxa and others are communicating now, it's because your role is needed. This is a threshold, not a final scene, but an opening act to a greater Earth, and your light is part of what brings it forth. Where the Galactic Agenda leads after this spike. A path ahead may seem uncertain, but at the highest level, it is guided. The Galactic Agenda that has quietly orchestrated Earth's awakening is moving into a new phase, one that brings truth to the surface and resets the planetary consciousness grid. The current spike of chaos is the pulse of that shift starting to push through. What follows won't just be headlines, it will be revelations, personal, collective, energetic. Systems will show their shadows. People will feel called to change directions, and the planet itself may respond with unexpected movements, all reflecting a larger orchestration meant to realign Earth with its divine potential. The outer mess is revealing the inner message. You don't need to know every step of that path to walk it. What matters is your position, your frequency, your heart's coherence. As long as you're grounded in love and willing to release outdated beliefs, you will flow with the new current. Resistance is what causes pain. Surrender with awareness is what brings alignment. This galactic agenda is not about control, it's about activation. It's the awakening of ancient codes within humanity and within the Earth itself. And now that it has begun, there is no going back. But that's a gift, because what lies ahead, while unfamiliar, holds a promise that everything built in light will not only survive, but thrive.